Okay, we continue to show games from the chapter on the attack. Now there is a beautiful game, game 15. I hope you enjoyed the games up to now. And of course, to see them on the chessboard makes them interesting because it's where we suffer and fight when we are playing tournaments. So this is chapter 4 of this book that is about the Lasker Method. There is also this book, okay, that teach you chess. It's also a kind of a manual, as you can see, and it's all based on Lasker's game. So I will also take a look at this because I think it's a very interesting book. However, the difference is that John Noon really made some long lines, detailed analysis that I don't know if it's only computer created, and sometimes in that book I honestly lost myself. I prefer notes that are a little less exhaustive in terms of analysis because the truth is in a real game, in a real tournament game, you're not going to visualize 10 moves ahead. I'm sorry, that's the truth. If it's not a kind of forced situation, no, that's not going to happen. While in that book we see it often with an evaluation that at the end says, oh, white is better. Okay, but how would you see 10 moves ahead and decide at the 10th move to cut the analysis off? Only if you use a computer, right? Okay, so this is game 15, A.J. Stoller against John Vincent Kelliner. This was the Austrian Championship of 1966. Before, and can you imagine how Black answered? Because this is very, very interesting. I generally, when I play something like this because you attack and you take the center, right? You want to take the center. Instead, Black played A5. Boom! Just this is amazing, right? By the way, this move is the recommendation of Pachman. Pachman was a famous grandmaster from Czechoslovakia, if I remember well, and he wrote three ties in 3 volumes on the middle game. So, and he also wrote books on the opening, so he did everything. Yeah. So b5, e5. So here it says it. But the Czech grandmaster and noted theoretician suggested d6. At this point he said to play this, hoping to disturb White's plan by fighting for control of the square c5. Okay, so this was what Pachman wanted. I didn't remember this, I remember this, but I didn't remember d6. e5. Bishop b2, which is what blacks want generally, to attack the center from far, d6, c4, b6. And here it says, so sorry, this is not the Austrian Championship, it was the Australian Championship. The Australian player had his own ideas about how chess should be played, and his creative and adventurous play even brought him as far as the final of the World Championship in correspondence chess. Well, obviously when you live in Australia and you are far from everywhere, and we are speaking of 1966, so maybe there were not so many tournaments. Australia is big like a continent, but maybe they didn't have enough people, right? I think maybe it's 20 million people, so the only way to play chess and improve maybe in the time was to use postcards. e3, bishop b7, knight c3, knight f6, knight f3, knight d7, and bishop e2. White proceeds slowly maybe central action with d4 came into consideration. Yeah, this maybe was the move to play, because at a certain point you need to fight for the center and disrupt the enemy center. Boom. Bishop e2, so let's see, queen e7. This look a bit weird, but let's proceed and see what his idea is. Castle. And this is very interesting. He played castle on the queen side, that with this pawn that advance, that's a kind of interesting. But how does he open the position? Because maybe it's to advance. Yeah. Here it says extremely double-edged, and the authors are unsure what mark is appropriate, because they gave a mark of a dubious move to this castling on the queen side. We would say dubious but dangerous. The alternative was g6, which seemed playable enough, but could have been played a move earlier. Okay, let's see. d4 puts pressure on the center, and g5, a move you would expect in a blitz game, with money on the table, but not in a high-profile correspondence game. Oh, so CH was... CR. It was marked as a CR. CR is correspondence. Very interesting. Wow. So this guy played G5 in a correspondence game. Obviously, now you don't want to play knight takes G5, because the rest move is rook G8. You are opening the file for black. You don't do that, right? He played queen C2. G4 and knight E1. The knight seems misplacing this thing, but probably in H4 and H5 not a good idea either, right? So let's see what happened. H5, and now white played a move that the authors consider bad. Knight A4. Why they consider it bad? Because they say a move we do not like at all, decentralizing the knight and losing time. Even if he succeeds in pushing, obviously you want to do this, okay? In pushing c4, c5, the benefits are unclear, as there is no easy way of getting to grips with black's king. Instead of this, they say maybe this was the move to play, okay? So it's important, in fact, that one criticizes this, but then tell me also what you would have played, this instead of that. Otherwise, it's useless, right? So that was interesting, yes. What did black continue with? Of course, he could have continued with e takes d4, but he played knight e4. No, notice that you see why you couldn't open the g5, because also this guy is aiming at g2, so it's not a joke. Okay, knight e4, knight d3, rook g8. And now, of course, it's preparing for a mass piece attack on the white king. c5. Also, this move has been marked as dubious, and they say playing to damage black's queen side, which is the logical follow-up of this move. But it is low and leaves black's bishop on b7 undisturbed. So what should he have played? We don't know. D takes c5, D takes c5, B takes c5, and now he plays bishop a3. Once again, it is each man attacking on his own side, but white is lower and less effective. Black has a lot of material pointing at the white king in one sector of the board, and is already entitled to seek and find the way to cash in. Let's see how. how does he cash in? Queen h4, boom. Rook ad1, knight g5. Ooh. And here there is a queen c4. Here they show you a line if we would have played bishop takes e5. It seems that there have been a continue with knight f3, bishop takes, g takes, and g3, and then bishop takes c5, queen takes e5, and then queen h3, and the game is over. So try to visualize this, because this is a kind of force attack, but it's real, it's there by now. Queen c4 is the move played in the game, because bishop takes e5 was clearly wrong. And now you could pause and try to find the killer move. There are two possibilities that are good, so I hope that you will enjoy it. In the game it was played queen h3, but there was the possibility to play bishop takes g2. Okay, so let's see, queen h3, beautiful, beautiful move. Obviously you cannot take, okay? Why you cannot take? Because if you take, takes, and this is checkmate. Why? Because you cannot go here, because there is that. Okay, once this is gone, this diagonal is a killer. So it cannot take. Knight e1, trying to protect this, but again, you have a problem here. Houston, we have a problem. Bishop takes g2, f3. And of course, if you take on here, there is knight f3, check, and the game is over practically. So let's see, f3, and can you imagine, there is the last move of the game, which is g3. Interesting. We have witnessed a spectacular game according to the principle of sound chess. It is not a wise thing to start attacking from the early stages. However, modern chess often has double-edged positions that are in dynamic balance, but where both hammer away at opposite sides. It is a risky way of playing, but it can pay dividends as the number of mistakes is markedly higher. So when you feel accurate and strong on a given day and willing to take risks, there is nothing wrong with playing a double-edged game. But always remember that the consequences can also work against you. I do think this was a beautiful game, especially because it was a correspondence game. I mean, so the amount, and this was 1966, so they didn't have computers. They had to actually calculate all these lines by themselves. Beautiful game, yes. Obviously, I hope you see why the game is over. For example, if you take here, let's say take, check, right? Tack, and the game is over. So let's see what happens here. If you take this, obviously there is this. So correspondence games were really useful in that time because one could practice the art of analysis. The problem is that today everybody has a computer, so you just switch on the engine and you cannot really think, right, and learn from that. It's a pity, but it's how modern society is.